Welcome to String Theory with Anthony Douglas. I am your host, Anthony Douglas. At any rate. So, this is like almost a part 3 of what we've been talking about unprofessional situations like, for instance, weekend warrior bands or the union and where that comes into play and keeping your money up there. So let's talk about what the union could do about weekend warriors. Okay, this is a touchy subject, and I hope you hang with me here, happy baby. I really do. Because this isn't easy. You know, some of those weekend warrior bands that I've worked with have been fun. I've had a great time. They always know that I am gigging with other groups, so there is no confusion. If there is confusion, then they forgot about the terms of our agreement, our verbal agreement. But every band I joined understands this. They all understand I work with other groups. They all understand that I do make the gig. You know, so that's very important that you're straightforward with everybody like that. Now, let's talk about a professional scene that would be great. This is in a perfect world, I guess. If you were in a perfect world and you had an industry, let's just say you had this industry that was thriving, okay? And you have bands working all over the place, and all of you are working 5, 6, 7 nights a week, sometimes multiple times a day, and you don't have to worry about things like DJs, karaoke taking your jobs, or weekend warriors coming in and taking your jobs. And you've got a strong union that prevents stuff like that. You know, now you're not having to hear people say, we work. What do you do? We all have day jobs in this band of ours, baby. You know? But that's hard to handle. You know, I get, like I've said before, I've said it once and I'll say it again. In other groups, you know, in other situations, I should say, like Boeing or General Motors, good night. If you put up a car company right next to General Motors and they were doing it for free, there'd be a problem. You know, they sat there and they go, oh, well, we don't need this because people just come in and they have fun and we just show them about our shop and they just have fun in here and we just build cars like you can't believe. What do you think the union at General Motors and around that situation, what do you think they'd all be doing? Well, they would want meetings. I can tell you that. You know, they would want meetings, baby. And they would want, you know, to cut a deal. I mean, with the situation there is now at this very moment in time, there is no deal. There is no situation. There is no coming to the drawing board and trying to figure it out. There is just, this is the highway and it's my way. Or you're going to be on the highway, you know, and see a hate to be a thing, you know. And so being able to have this this visualization in a perfect world where you could say, okay, this is a karaoke free zone. This has been a musician's zone for decades, since the 1930s. I mean, there are places around here where I work that literally the bars have been going since the 1930s. I think the Galloping Goose is one of them. Some the 1950s or early 50s. It just depends. Some have been going since the 60s. Some are fairly recent. But my point being is, as a dedicated zone for this, this type of a dedicated zone for zoning in this type of situation, which is very important to have these types of places for musicians and industry. So I think that would be a good idea, is to zone places designated for a professional section. Whereas karaoke, yeah, drive it out of town 60, 70 miles, whatever. Drive it somewhere that it's not going to affect us in our industry. Drive the Weekend Warriors way out there somewhere. Drive out the, DJs that are doing things and stuff, and keep a professional live music art situation in your city, happy baby. All right. Well, that might make some people uncomfortable, but you know what? I'll tell you what. If we're not kicking this thing around, figuring out what we're going to do as far as, how we're going to keep humanity working, I guarantee you things like AI and different other things are just going to come along, take everybody's jobs. So it isn't just happening in the music industry. It's happening now all over the place. But there was a time that it just seemed like it was just the music industry, But, obviously, people are being karaoke'd now by robots. They're being karaoke'd by AI. They're being, and what's the attitude of these people that are CEOs of companies and the corporation and all that? Not that I'm down on corporations. No, I know we need them, but we also need them to employ us. Once they start not employing and everything, it creates imbalance, I think. Baby. And everything has to be balanced. So, I hope this has helped you. I hope this has helped open things up. Not against people who do karaoke, not against people who do the DJ thing, the dance DJ thing, not against people that are more inclined for the weekend warrior or unprofessional sector of things, because, it has its place too. But we have our place, and a lot of these places have been here long before everything else. So it would be nice to be able to rezone some things, or try to find a happy medium with everybody. That would be nice if we could spread some love that way. That would be nice. All right. If you like what you hear, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, thanks. Bye.